Hey there everybody, welcome to Auto Bears, and this is something a little bit different. This is a ground up electric van and it is called the Farizon SV. And what does SV stand for? Super van. Now, Farizon are a brand that were founded in 2016 under the Geely Automotive Group, and you'll know that group because they own Volvo, Polestar and Lotus. But with Farizon, they are a dedicated commercial vehicle brand, and they're now coming to the UK and Europe with this, the SV. And this van has been built from the ground up as an electric vehicle, but also it's been built specifically for the European market. Now I'm here at Millbrook Proving Ground in Bedfordshire to take it for a quick drive and to show you guys around this electric van. Now yes, I know this is a little bit different to what I normally review on the channel, but you know what? Sometimes a little bit of change is good. But yeah, this is the Farizon SV, and as I said, that is the super van, and well, let's see what it's like. Now, when it comes to the SV styling, at the back it is typical van, big and boxy to maximize space. But at the front, this is where it looks very different, and this is where it looks like an electric vehicle. We got a very short stubby nose, and it just kind of leads off to those van proportions. So it is instantly recognizable as an SV because of that unique front end. Now we have got full LED lights on the front with the daytime running lights. As I said, we got this short stubby nose, but what I love is that when it comes to kind of accessing key features on the exterior of the van, they're underneath here where the headlight cluster is, and also this panel here, which is perfect for servicing because there aren't that many moving parts. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Audi A2, where you just kind of lifted up a little hood and you could do things like the washer fluid or top up the oil and stuff. Obviously you won't do on this car because, well, it's an electric. But yeah, I actually think it's a very distinctive looking van. I mean, there's not too much we can say about the styling, but you can clearly tell it's a full electric vehicle, and especially one that's been designed from the ground up. But you know what? I think that's enough of looking at the outside of the SV. I will mention that there are 6 colours available, and we've got these very distinctive aerodynamic covers on the wheels. But let's see what the interior is like. Sat in the front of the SV, you are greeted by a very comfortable, nicely laid out and quite unique interior. It does feel like a van, but not as you usually know it. It does feel a bit different to some of its rivals. Now, one of the first things I will mention is that this door opens to 90 degrees. So in terms of getting in and out of the SV, it's really easy. Now I haven't got a grab handle up here, but I have for the front passenger, and I have got a grab handle here on the A-pillar, which is very handy. And then once you're sat in these seats, you find that they are very comfortable. They do hold a big bear like me in place. I don't think they actually are leather. I think they're leatherette, but they are heated and ventilated as well. And I have got a heated steering wheel also, and that's operated via a button on the steering wheel controls. And then when it comes to kind of adjustment, yes, it is manual adjustment only, but I can get a good driving position. The only thing I'll say about the steering is that we only have, there's the handle, we've got rake adjustment, but we haven't got reach. So that's a little bit disappointing. So it does mean you get yourself a little bit closer to the steering wheel. And then when it comes to interior quality, well, it's what you would expect from this type of commercial vehicle. We have got hard scratchy plastics here on top of the dash and a little bit lower down. We have got this orange trim here in the center of the dash, which does kind of lighten up the cabin. We got it here on the door handles as well. And it does, yeah, it does give like a unique look to the interior. And even here on the seats, we got some contrasting orange stitching to go with the kind of light and dark leatherette we can see there. And then, yeah, in terms of kind of that quality, it's durable plastics. They are recycled as well. So you can definitely tell that Farizon are thinking about the environment with the SV. So yeah, first impressions when you're kind of sitting here and you're getting yourself all settled in the SV are very positive. It's a nice, comfortable place to be. And those doors open really lovely and wide. Now, when it comes to cubby spaces here in the SV, I'm going to say they're good. But when compared to some of their more traditional rivals, it might feel like it's falling short a little bit. So firstly, the door pockets are absolutely massive. You can get a large bottle of drink in there, which is very handy. And then there is a little bit of a shelf midway up. Again, you can store some little items in there. Now, when it comes to the kind of the main center console area, what we have got here on the center console, if I open it up, is a little cup holder, and we've got a little tray here. We have actually got the key in here as well. And I will be honest, that's actually quite a nice looking key. Yeah, that's actually a very pleasant surprise. So that's our handy little tray area. Then we've got one just below there, which is actually really handy as well. And also we got your USB-C and USB-A charging inputs. And then we got the glove box, which is of an okay size. We have got a high-vis jacket in there, but I will say the only thing that's a bit disappointing is that we got nothing here on top of the dash, and we got nothing high up either. Now granted, this is the L1H1, so kind of the entry-level SV, so I'm not sure if you go for the H2 or H3 if you do get any additional space up above, but it's a little bit disappointing that we got no cubby spaces here on top of the dash area. And then I will mention, actually, there's nothing with the seats. I don't think I can move them across, or if I can lift them up, although saying that, there is a little tray, I think, here. I'll have to find out, but there's a couple of handles down here. I'll have to talk to the SV team about that, because that could be some additional space underneath the seats. But like I said, it is pretty good in here, but some of its rivals have got, yeah, a little bit more inventiveness with some of their cubby areas. Okay, I am just going to quickly mention I did open up one of those little compartments, and it has got your charging cables in there. So that's actually a really handy place to put it. However, you can't seem to lift up this bench in order to put them underneath, and that's probably because these seats are heated, and as I mentioned, they're ventilated as well, so they will be connected to things like the air conditioning system. But yeah, it's quite handy that you can stow your cables underneath the passenger seats. Now, I do just want to quickly talk about the interior design, because it is very different to other vans out there, but it is logically laid out. So we have got your 12.3-inch infotainment screen. We've also got a 7-inch TFT screen here as well for all your driver information, but not all the controls are done via that infotainment screen, which is actually a real blessing. So a little bit lower down, we have actually got a couple of little rocker switches, and these adjust your temperature and fan strength. So it's single zone climate control. In the center is a little LCD display. It's not on now, but that's where you can adjust things like the temperature, fan strength, and the positioning as well, with a couple of shortcut buttons underneath. And one thing I do like is that you have actually got a heated windscreen on the SV as standard, so that's actually very cool. And if you are an owner of a Ford, yeah, that's something that you will appreciate, because on a cold frosty day, a heated windscreen is absolutely wonderful. And then on the steering wheel, we've got physical controls as well. So on the left hand side, we look to have your communication, voice and radar guided cruise control controls, and then on the right hand side, we look to have your media controls, heated steering wheel controls, and I think a couple of controls for the infotainment screen, or should I say the digital dashboard display, so you can go through the various menus. And then we have got some buttons on the right hand side. Now these do your drive modes, regen braking, traction control, and then your fog lights as well. So in terms of kind of the ergonomics in here, yeah, it is actually really well laid out. And like I said, it's nice to have some physical controls for things like the climate control in here, rather than have it all done via a touchscreen. And then finally, we've got the infotainment system and the digital dashboard display. So as I said, the infotainment system is 12.3 inches. You have got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And just kind of bringing it along here, it does look to be a nice responsive system. So one thing I do like is if you drag down, you do have a lot of shortcut buttons here to help with things like the drive assist, so you can turn off things like your speed limiter, lane departure, etc. And then you can access things like the 360 cameras, your parking sensors, and also things like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And then we got the main system itself, so you can kind of slide it from left to right. It is actually nice and clear. It's got a real good clarity to it. It does appear as well to be very responsive. Now I like as well that the shortcut buttons are on the right hand side, which is something that we'll definitely appreciate, because when you're driving, you can just access them without having to move too far and take your eyes and your hands away off the steering wheel and away from the road. So that's actually a real highlight there. And you can go straight into things like the vehicle menu. You can go to home, communication, radio, and then there is one as well for the single zone climate control. But I like the fact is that we actually have the physical buttons here. You don't actually have to rely on that screen. And then finally, we have got the little digital driver's display, so it is 7 inches. I will say straight away, it doesn't appear to be the clearest. I think it's an LCD, not LED display, but all your information is on there. So things like any kind of safety systems you have on, like lane keep assist, the blind spot monitoring, you can see what doors are open. If you got it in sport mode or any other drive modes, it'll come up on there as well. And then yeah, just everything's basically switched on for you. So that's actually a real nice system to use. It's nice and easy. And on the left hand side, you can get your regen gauge. And on the right hand side, we have your power gauge. Because of course, this being an EV, you're not going to have a proper rev counter. But like I said, it's not the crispest of displays, but everything's really nice and ergonomically kind of laid out on the screen for you. If you've driven something like an Aura 03 or maybe even an MG, yeah, that will look instantly recognizable for you. So yeah, when it comes to kind of being inside the SV, like I said, it's got a very unique design to it. I do feel as though it needs a few more cubby spaces in here, particularly up above and on the dash, but it's really nicely laid out. It does feel very modern, it does feel very up to date, and I do love the fact that the doors open nice and wide. And then we'll talk about the side opening in a second, because with the passenger door, there is quite a unique highlight. Open it up and get it to that 90 degrees, which means getting in is really easy. But you'll probably notice the seatbelt is here. That's quite strange, and there's a reason for that. And when I open the side door, we have no B-pillar. This is actually a gigantic opening in the side of the SV, and that is the van's USP. Which means, firstly, when there is a combi version that might come to the UK perhaps in the next year or so, if you've got perhaps a tent cover or anything like that, this will all be open. So it means you can really take advantage of the space provided. And not only that, when it kind of comes to this side, to actually loading and unloading, it means that you haven't got a big thick structure here, so you can take full advantage of the space. So you easily can load a Euro pallet into the side of the SV, even with this H1L1 version, which is the entry level van. So this is a really unique selling point to the van, and one of the big benefits of having a ground up electric vehicle, because basically you don't have to rely on this type of structure when things like the battery and everything can be integrated into the strength of the van. So that is actually really unique. That is a very reassuring thud and a nice air quality on the SV. Now I will mention, when it comes to the back of the van, you can have the doors open to 180 degrees. As an optional extra, you can have them tweaked to 270, but 180 should suffice for most buyers out there. And what I like as well, again, with it being a ground up EV, it's actually very low to the ground. The actual kind of bottom of the load bay is 55 centimeters, so it is lower than its main rivals. So yeah, another highlight when it comes to loading and unloading the SV is that you don't have to put too much of a strain if you are doing it manually when you've got such a nice load area, or if you are loading, like I said, a Euro pallet, yeah, you can take full advantage of the extra height and space. Now, when it comes to trim levels with the SV, there is only one available, so it is actually really well kitted out in terms of creature comforts, driver aids, as well as safety equipment. But if you're going to go for kind of customizing your SV, you're going to be looking at the sizes. So you've got L1 and H1, L2 and H2, and L3 and H3. And as I mentioned earlier, as standard, you do get your doors to initially open to 90 degrees, but you can have them go to 180, and as I said, as an optional extra, they can go to 270. But again, just highlighting just how low that lip is when loading into the SV. Again, that is definitely much better than some of its main rivals. So again, another key factor there, if you are looking to get an SV or an electric van and you want to maximize that load space for you, because there are no mechanicals underneath, it's just a big battery, and this is front wheel drive, so the motor is up front. And also what that means is You can have a full-size spare wheel fitted underneath, as well as a tow bar, because you can tow up to 2 tons with the SV as well. So again, just highlighting the low load bay, the load lip there, and you've just got plenty of space here in the back of the SV. I am going to put on screen now for you all of the dimensions and kind of cubic footage for you. This is my first van review, by the way, so yeah, go easy on me. But in terms of some of the unique features that you can have on the SV, you can actually have a payload monitoring system. And what that means is that as you're loading your SV, it keeps track of the weight. It's letting you know that you don't overfill your van. And you know what? I think that's enough of looking at the kind of van parts and everything and load capacity of the SV. Let's go for a drive and see what it's like, well, at Millbrook's Proving Ground. Right, so before we set off and go for a drive around Millbrook, we're just waiting for the marshals to give us the go-ahead. I'll go through some facts and figures now because, yeah, I haven't got a chance to memorise them just yet. So at the moment, there are 2 battery sizes available. There's a 67 kilowatt hour and an 83 kilowatt hour, but there will be a 106 kilowatt hour coming in the future. But at the moment, it is those first 2. So in regards to kind of things like range, if you go for, let's go for the entry-level car, so the entry-level van, I should say, the SV, which is the L1H1. With the 67 kilowatt hour, we are looking at around 188 miles of range, that's WLTP, 234 for the larger 83 kilowatt hour. I will put all the details there for you to refer to, so you can pause it and kind of, you know, read it to your heart's content. With regards to things like charging, this is actually quite impressive. So for the 67 kilowatt hour, you've got 11 kilowatts of AC charging, so you're looking at around 6.5 hours from 15 to 100%, 9 for the larger 83 kilowatt. And then when it comes to actual fast charging, 120 kilowatts for the 67 kilowatt hours and then 140 kilowatts for the 83 kilowatt hour. And both of them will go from 20 to 80% in 36 minutes. So if you are doing lots of kind of longer journeys, that's actually not too bad. So if you are doing, say, long range delivery, something like that, you can stop off at a fast charger and you don't have to sit there for ages. So that is pretty impressive. You have got vehicle to load as well, so you can do it from the charging port. And I think there are a couple of plugs as well in the load area. And when it comes to things like towing capability, braked, it's up to 2 tons. So again, that's pretty impressive, but I don't think that beats the, I want to say, the Ford e-Transit. I think that can tow a little bit more, but yeah, so that's everything in regards to kind of performance and things like that. Maximum speed, we're looking at 84 miles per hour for both battery sizes. Okay, so I'm actually going to go through those colours whilst we are waiting. So the kind of standard colour is white, so you go straight for a white van man. This is, I believe, called cyan green, but I'll have to confirm that. There's a black, a blue, a golden, and also a grey. So that's quite, yeah, that's quite unique to have a golden colour as well. Of course, as always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell notifications icon to let you know when I bring out a new video. We're just waiting for one more person. Oh. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. Oh, there's an ID buzz there. That's definitely going to be a rival to the SV. So, one thing I've noticed with the steering is I have got rake adjustment, but not reach. However, I do feel okay with my driving position. I'm going to get this up now. So as I mentioned, Millbrook is a main testing facility, and I know that for a fact because there is a there is a McLaren testing right in front of me. Wow, I have no idea what that is. That is very unique. We're now heading on to the hill route. Top speed 55 miles an hour. Not the car, not the van, sorry, but the hill route itself. Let's see what this is like. So first thing I am noticing is it feels very composed at speed. So I am doing that 55 miles an hour. Going to move myself over to avoid the little sleeping policemen, and they are an absolute nightmare. With the fact that we got the battery underneath, it means we've got a very low center of gravity. So you haven't got that kind of waywardness that you get when you drive a tall vehicle. So turn in here. It is actually very composed. I'm not much in the way of roll or lean. Now I am going to note that the regen braking is set to its strongest. There are 3 levels available, and I've got it set to number 3. But the turn in is pretty good. Not the hugest amount of feel, but that's something I'm not surprised at, because this van is fully drive-by-wire. So by that I mean nothing is connected to mechanics or hydraulics. It's all done via computers. And although this is a kind of relatively new technology for cars, it's been on planes, for example, for 40, 50 years. Think of the F-16 as a prime example. That that plane has got fly-by-wire technology. So even when you're pulling on the joystick, it's all computers that are keeping you going. Actually seeing what this regen braking's like. That's actually got a nice strength to it. Just to let you know as well, in terms of range and that, I've got 97% battery on this SV, and it's given me a claimed range, projected range, of 260 miles. Now that's very impressive, but I am driving along like I would be on, say, a city route. I'm not doing long driving on a motorway where it won't be the most efficient. But I am enjoying, some army tanks there. I am enjoying the handling of the SV. I do like the fact that it's nice and composed, the weight low to the ground. But like I said, even if I have a load in the back, I don't feel as though it's going to worry me somewhat. So lap number 2. Okay. Now, believe it or not, there are 3 drive modes to choose from. You've got your usual ones. You've got Eco, Normal, and you have Sport. In terms of ride, I'm actually very impressed. It's dealing with a lot of the bumps and imperfections very well. Not sure what the alloy size is on this. I think they're 16s, maybe 17s. Not the largest, but they have got those little eco covers on them as well. So again, just kind of helping you out with efficiency there. The only thing you can hear in the background is that whirring of the motor. That's it. I will mention as well, this is front wheel drive. So if you're after a kind of fun factor from your SV, I'm not sure why you would be. Yeah, the 4D Transit does come with rear wheel drive, but front wheel drive for the Farizon. So let's see, let's put it Okay, so I've just put it into sport mode. What I've noticed as well is it's taken the brake regen off, or put it to its lowest strength. Oh, that's a nice, there's actually a nice bit of acceleration there when you put your foot down. That is actually very impressive. Now, just to kind of keep things in check, you'll notice from the B-roll that I'm kind of putting on top of me talking. Yeah, everything was filmed here at Millbrook, and you'll notice that very distinctive registration, which the guys at Farizon have bought. So at least that way we got something that matches up. We got some continuity there. So that's sport, where it definitely is affecting the acceleration. Can't feel anything changing in the steering, which is absolutely fine. And then, okay, so now gone to eco. So brake regen is on its highest setting. And then, oh, if you put your foot down, not much happens. It's very kind of delayed in the response. We've got a nice little bit here, I can actually just test that. So 22 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, foot down, 30. Yeah, it's very, very restrained in its acceleration there. So don't have it in eco if you are looking to quickly accelerate from a start. So come round, here we go, foot down. Yeah, I am going to keep that in normal, but I'm going to keep the brake regen on its highest. So it's one more lap, and then we're going to go on the bowl. Brakes are good as well, actually. That's something I have noticed. So as I come out, accelerate out of here, I do know I need to brake again. Yeah, brakes are very sharp. That's a big positive. It'll take a little bit of time, I think, to get used to, because there is a strong initial bite, but I am confident in this van's stopping capability. Also, I'll say as well, with the brake regen in its strongest setting, it doesn't instantly just kind of put that brake on. There is like a nice kind of linear growth in the strength, if that makes sense. Something just made a noise at the back, not sure what that was. What I like as well, the controls here on the center console, really nice, easy to use. The only one that kind of looks a little bit ergonomically out of place is the electric handbrake and the auto hold button. They're just on the left hand side of the console, so probably ideal if you're on the left hand drive market. You can just flick your wrist and there you go. But you know what, I like actually where it's positioned, because it means you only really need to use it when you're setting off and when you're stopping. So why not have it out the way? But yeah, that brake regen, my foot's not on the brake pedal. That is actually very impressive. Right, it's time to see what the Farizon SV is like on the high-speed bowl. Right, so a little bit of confession time. I've never been on the high-speed bowl, so this is going to be a fun experience for me. And I found just at that kind of 15 miles an hour mark, don't know if you heard it there was that electric whirring. So here we go. I am going to go into sport mode. I can go into the fourth lane. I can go a speed of 75. So 75 miles an hour in the Farizon SV. This feels very composed, very refined. All I've got is a little bit of wind noise. I can hear the whir of the motor. That's it. I am massively impressed. It's just wind noise, that's it. That's all I got. Wow. And I have got radar guided cruise control. But all I've got is wind noise. This is bonkers. And I will say as well, over the last couple of days, it's been extremely windy. I don't know what it's like here at Millbrook today, but I do know when I was filming the car I've got on the test at the minute, which is the Nissan Qashqai. Yeah, you'll notice in that review it was very, very windy as I was filming, and it's not as windy today, but I can still hear it, I can still feel it, and being in a big bowl as well, I'll get it from all directions. This is just wow. Wow, really, really impressed. I could easily do a long journey in this and I'd be absolutely fine. I'd feel happy and relaxed coming out the other end. And here we go, we're going to come off. The high speed bowl. That was my first ever go on there. And I'm addicted. I will be back. So I don't know if you heard it there when I was doing about 15 miles an hour. That's where you got that I was going to say engine note there. The electric noise. I'm not sure. Yeah, I can hear that outside. So that's probably a very good health and safety measure there to alert those around you when you're driving at low speed, especially if you're doing deliveries and that, and you're perhaps going, if you're say an Amazon driver maybe, and you've got a couple of places to go. Yeah, so as I come back to the steering paddock, I can tell you on my first, albeit brief drive of the Farizon SV, it is immensely positive. Do really like the drive, just how composed it is as you're driving along, and then at high speed, the fact that you've got no, it was just wind noise, that was it. But yeah, that was massively, massively impressive. Right. Okay. Oh, 360 cameras as well. I just want to make sure I'm not going to hit anyone. I don't know if you can hear that as well. There's a little chime in the background. You've also got things such as front and rear parking sensors. Okay, and it automatically does the brake for me. And there you go. Well, as soon as I turned it off, everything just unlocked. Okay, right, once again, David Thomas, that's a wrap.